Hello? Hello? Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez, and you're watching my YouTube channel, The Teenage Movie Critic. Hold up, let me edit this real quick. Whoops, I did that wrong. Alright. Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez, and you're watching my YouTube channel, The Teenage Movie Critic. And welcome back to my YouTube channel, everybody. And today we've been doing a new series that I have created, and it is called Journey to Daredevil Born Again, where basically, last month we got the announcement that Daredevil Born Again is coming out on Disney Plus March 4th, 2025, and I thought, why not go ahead and start watching all the Marvel Netflix shows, since these are projects that I have never seen before. I've only seen the first season of Daredevil, and a little bit of season 2. But now I've been able to watch all 3 seasons of Daredevil. I started watching it about back in the first week of December. And this past weekend, I finally finished it. And now I get to talk about it with all of you wonderful people. So let's go ahead and get started talking about Daredevil. And we're going to start talking about this thing at 2:30. I'll change it to mix. Alright, so we're going to keep this like a normal review. I know, like, when I did my Mufasa review, I didn't just do good, bad, and give you the score. I kind of went in depth into separate categories of certain things. We're going to keep it as just this, just because my review for it is a little different, because I don't go into all of the specifics of every single aspect of the show. But the show is very good, so I have to talk about at least some of the stuff. So I'm just going to go right into this. I think Daredevil is incredible. I think it is a wonderful show that this show was made. I think that it overlooks all of the superhero media and how to do a superhero show right and all of that stuff. And so let's just go ahead and dive into it, because I think the first way to talk about this show is to really start by talking about the character of Daredevil himself. In that, Stan Lee was a wonderful person in creating superheroes. And one of my favorite characters he's created was Spider-Man, and the reason for that is because he created 3 out of great stuff. Of course, he had an incredible superpower with powers of a spider, with sticking on walls and climbing and shooting webs. But he was a teenager, and he was an orphan where he lived with his aunt and uncle. Now with Matthew Murdock, it's a little bit it's one of these characters that has a secret identity, and except Matthew Murdock is both blind. So he's a blind superhero. He is a lawyer, and he works in the Catholic Church and all that stuff, and he believes in faith and all of the religious stuff that I know nothing about. But going back to the blind stuff, I think that is another one of those things that makes them interesting compared to all these other superheroes, to where it's like, because at first you're thinking, like, how the hell does a blind superhero work? And you start to realize that throughout all of our lives, we've known to just focus to see, and that we can't, like, none of our senses are just obvious. Sight is not only the tool you can use, and that basically Stan Lee said something of this, is that when you lose your sight, your other senses become magnified. So what are the other senses you have in your body? Hearing, smell, taste, touch, feel, and all that stuff. And when Matthew Murdock lost his sight, all of his other abilities became a lot more plausible and became a lot more usable. To where his hearing, he could hear someone down the block getting beaten to death. he could smell someone's cologne on like the third floor of an apartment building. Like he can hear and smell and do all these incredible things, and it's incredible in the way that his power that this sort of power set can work, and they found a way to actually make it realistic because this is something that can actually happen. And he's not a super soldier, he's nothing of that, and that's what makes the character so incredible. And I think with Charlie Cox's performance, it fleshes it out in a way to where you can buy him as the lawyer by day and buy him as the vigilante by night, and it works perfectly. And I think the whole story that we do with him and learn about his backstory with his dad, his relationships with people, and all of that great stuff, it works so well. But even according to that, you also got to talk about the other characters in here, like Karen Page and Foggy Nelson, who I think are very good side characters to do in this show. They're very entertaining, but they're also very interesting, and especially in Karen's backstory that we learned in season 3, I thought was very interesting. We also got to talk about the villains in here. Kingpin, Vincent D'Onofrio, is awesome in this show. He brings all the gravitas, and I'm so excited to see him in Daredevil Born Again. We also got to talk about Punisher, Frank Castle, awesome character, and I'm excited to see the Punisher show. I heard that show is very gory, and I'm excited to see sort of a realistic sort of soldier war show. We also get Elektra in season 2, which I think really does well. And I thought her backstory with Matt was very interesting. I really like the way they did Bullseye in this show, even though I'm not a big fan of him wearing the Daredevil suit. I thought the way they portrayed his character was something interesting, and that Daredevil is essentially good at everything because he doesn't have to see. Bullseye always has a good shot, no matter if he sees or not, and that to me, no matter if he sees or not, he always has a good shot, and I think it's incredible the way they do that. And so yeah, and then I think the last thing we'll talk about here, I also love the cinematography and the colors of everything. Everything just kind of feels like a comic book come to life, but it doesn't even try to be, and I love that. And then I think the final thing we'll talk about here is the action. This might have some of the best action in any Marvel content ever. If you are tired of all the action, the CGI fights in Marvel movies, you should definitely watch this and it'll blow you away. Because all of the action is, choreographed really well, it's done really well, and it's realistic. And it's like, especially, with these one-shots that this show is famous for doing, that they do, like, once a season, where basically, the first season, you have Daredevil in a hallway, season 2, you have Daredevil fighting bad guy people down a staircase, and then the third season, it's actually, like, about, maybe 15, 20 minutes of fighting a bunch of, criminals in a prison, and then he escapes. And it's incredible in the way they did these fights. And especially what I love about, and it's not even only Daredevil that gets involved in the fights. It's Elektra sometimes. It's Punisher that gets involved, and it's even Kingpin that gets to take that gets to do some beatings in this show. So I think the action's incredible. But the other thing that's so good about the action is while Daredevil can give good beatings, he can also take a good beating, which I think is also part of the realistic side, which it's a little bit of one of the problems I have with this show, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. But overall, it is a fantastic show, and the way they developed the story was something incredible, and I love everything they did with it. A few more things to talk about here, so let's go ahead and move on to the bad. And my big issue with this show, I don't really have, big issues. These are kind of just nitpicks. Otherwise, this show would probably be perfect. But I don't know if I could say that. One of my the first issue is I don't think all these seasons needed to have 13 episodes. I feel like you could have just simplified it in like 3 to 9 episode arcs. To where like the first three episodes are the first act. The second season is the second act, and then the third sort of thing is the third act. Obviously, I'm probably just thinking it like that because I'm a movie guy. I don't know nothing about television. So, I could be wrong in that department. In the way I thought of that. The other thing that this one's gonna sound a little dumb, but everybody says that because I remember when the third season was coming out, everybody, and I look back on reviews of the third season, everybody was saying this is the best season of Daredevil yet. That it's better than season 1, better than season 2. I agree that it's better than season 2, but I don't know if it's better than season 1. I do not think that. I don't know. I'm having a hard time kind of believing that. So that's one thing, because I think season 3 was incredible. I thought it was really good, but I don't think it's as good. And I think the final thing we'll talk about here, and this is going to sound really, really dumb. I prefer Daredevil in his black suit rather than his red suit, in his Daredevil costume. Part of the big reason for this, and it goes back to what I said about the greatness of the action, is that one of the best things about this show is that Daredevil is not only able to give beatings, but he's also able to take beatings himself. And especially like that, one of my favorite episodes was the episode where we were introduced to Claire, and he's helping him and bandaging him up, and she does that throughout the entire the entire season of season 1. And it's like that was one of my favorite parts about this show. And then you get into season 2, and it's like he's going after bad guys, and he sort of gets injured. He's still kind of getting maybe bruised up, except other people are getting beaten up and brutally murdered. Just not him. He may have gotten like maybe a little bruise on his face, no cuts on his like limbs or whatever. But like I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about that. Like, it's like, I think the black suit that he wore, his origin suit, fit better in the tone of the show. And when you bring in this red goofy costume, it just kind of feels like, what exactly are we doing here? Like it, and especially like I liked the opening of season 1 of season 2, episode 1, right? But it just felt a little bit too cartoony, like Call 911. Like, and like, I don't know how, and like, everybody's calling Daredevil a hero. Like, I don't really know how I feel about that. Like, I think the Batman did this better in calling him a hero, but like, I don't know. Like, I prefer Daredevil to be an anti-hero show, So, I'm not really sure how I felt about that. That he's just established as a hero now. Not really sure how I feel about that. Now, I do like the way they actually use Bullseye as him being Daredevil in season 3, as like basically saying that he's killing people and all that stuff. And I thought that was a really cool plot line, and I actually kind of like the way they brought his black suit back in, though that's one of my issues with season 3. He's not even in the Daredevil costume all that much. So it's like, how can you say this is the best season? He's not even in the costume. He's literally like having glasses and a cap on, being in secret, and then he's secretly trying to stop Fisk. That's not Daredevil. That's just a blind guy spy show. Like under crime show. Like, it's not. Sure, he's using his abilities, but it doesn't feel that superheroic. So, but my problems made me dumb. I don't know. Those are things that just kind of bothered me for some reason. I don't know. But other than that, this show is, like I said, very, very good. It is one of the best shows. Definitely one of the best shows I've seen this year. And I currently watched the first episode of Jessica Jones. I'm not gonna lie. I did not feel the same energy like I did with it. Did not expect that scene with Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, but I did not feel the same energy I did with Daredevil that I did with Jessica Jones. But it's two different shows, so maybe it's only the first episode. Maybe I'll like it. Who knows? But yeah, that's my review for Daredevil. Before I give my final score, be sure to down below. What were your thoughts on Marvel Netflix's Daredevil? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? In between? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below. And with that said, let's go ahead and get on with my scores, which are going to be And to give you my scores on the show, I'm going to give this one an A minus, just an A minus, and it's going to be an 8 out of 10 for entertaining purposes. I think the show has a lot of great action. It has some funny moments, some definitely enjoyable scenes, and some very dark stuff. The show is a little bit slow at times, but it does get moving when you get into the action and you get into the characters. And so it's interesting. It's a show that you do got to pay attention, though. And that is it. That's my review. My review for Daredevil. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.